It's 5 o'clock. This is Utah's Morning News. I'm Tim Hughes.
And I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour.
The Justice Department is threatening to take the state of Texas to court as that state continues to send more and more migrants to other states amid a surge of illegal border crossings.
The lawsuit would focus not on the busing, but on a new law that takes effect in 2 months, aimed at giving local and state authorities the power to enforce immigration law. Our coverage, Crisis at the Border, begins with KSL News Radio's Adam Small. Adam?
Amanda, starting in March, Texas authorities will be able to arrest and prosecute migrants who enter the U.S. illegally. Now, while Texas Governor Greg Abbott said it's to help stop the tidal wave of immigration in that state, the Justice Department claims that law is unconstitutional. There's no word if a challenge is actually going to be filed yet. Right now, just talks. But in New York City, Mayor Eric Adams also issued an executive order recently which forces bus operators to give a day-and-a-half notice when transporting migrants to the city. But apparently Governor Abbott tried to get around that by busing roughly 400 migrants to New Jersey and had them take the train into the city. New York City Hall Chief Lisa Zornberg is one of many calling for federal intervention.
What's happening right now is bonkers. It is really what Texas is doing is bonkers.
Chicago suburbs are facing a similar issue. 4 of them have now passed ordinances fining bus companies that drop off migrants without notice. Reporting live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Suburban mayors are saying they need help to deal with the influx from Texas. Michael Turner is the mayor of Woodstock, a suburb of Chicago.
We do not have the staff, the expertise, or the money. And that may not be the ideal. We may all wish it was something different, but that's the reality.
He's calling on the federal government to help.
Help from Uncle Sam may not be swift as Congress remains at an impasse over border security as part of a deal to provide aid to Ukraine. And they're not back at work yet from the holidays.
Returning from his holiday trip in the Caribbean, reporters asked President Biden about the record number of migrants at the southern border. A White House official says negotiations on border funding are moving in the right direction as Republicans insist new aid for Ukraine be tied to increased U.S. border security. Today, House Speaker Mike Johnson, along with 60 other Republican lawmakers, are set to visit the border in Texas.
That's ABC's Ika Jachi reporting in Washington.
And continuing our coverage, Crisis at the Border. A key border crossing is going to reopen this week in Arizona, a month after it was closed. KSL News Radio's Nick Sadowski has more now from Phoenix.
The Department of Homeland Security says the Lukeville port of entry is reopening tomorrow morning at 6. It's been closed since December 4th so that officials who watch over vehicle and pedestrian traffic could help Border Patrol agents take migrants into custody.
The closure of that port of entry has been a huge point of contention for local businesses who say they rely on border traffic for tourism and revenue.
New details this morning about the man who was found dead inside an inactive jet turbine at Salt Lake City International Airport. KSL TV's Shelby Lofton reports.
Salt Lake City police say the incident started at 9:52 p.m. when an airport store manager reported a disturbance. According to police's timeline, Kyler Effinger took an emergency exit at 9:56, setting off the alarm. At 10:04, police say another pilot spotted Effinger. About 5 minutes later, officers found him unconscious inside the engine's intake cowling.
First responders performed CPR for about 20 minutes before Effinger was declared dead.
This year's holiday travel rush went pretty smoothly, but a mix-up at Tampa International Airport brought one teenage traveler to an unexpected destination. 16-year-old Logan Lowe's was set to fly by himself to Cleveland the Friday before Christmas, but he wound up in Puerto Rico. Frontier Airlines operates flights to Cleveland and San Juan from Tampa, both out of the same gate, and Logan had just boarded the earlier plane by mistake. The incident caused a bit of a scare for Logan's dad, Ryan, who says his son had his headphones on during the pre-flight announcement.
Exactly like Home Alone 2, where Kevin puts on the music and the flight attendants start talking about where they're going, and he can't hear anything. That's exactly what happened with Logan.
The airline says Logan was flown back to Tampa immediately and then on to Cleveland the next day.
Isn't that something? That plot is now playing out in real life.
Yeah.
Well, the Utah Jazz are on the road tonight to take on the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons are just 3-30 so far on the season. Tip-off tonight is at 7 o'clock.
KSL News Time, 5:05. Time for a first look traffic check here. Andy's in the traffic center.
And so far, we're in great shape with good road conditions again this morning, despite the cold temperatures. You might see some heavy traffic as you head out to Tooele County on I-80, but just before you get to Saltaire is all I-15 completely clear in both directions. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Just one correction there. I guess the Jazz game is at home tonight, not on the road.
Yeah, I knew Adam was going to be there. I wondered, when he was jumping on the flight.
Doctors are celebrating a medical breakthrough in North Carolina. The world's first partial heart transplant was deemed a success 1 year after the surgery. Owen Monroe was born in the spring of 2022 with a lethal heart condition. Owen's mother, Taylor Monroe, is expressing her gratitude.
We are just eternally grateful for our donor's family. Truly, Owen would not be here today.
It was the first of its kind surgery. Arteries and valves from a donated heart were integrated into Owen's heart at just 17 days old.
Hypochondriacs aren't going to like to hear this story this morning, but a new study is showing that hypochondriacs are more likely to face health risks. KSL News Radio's Michael Kmet is live with those details. Michael?
Tim, this study comes from Swedish researchers who worked with over 4,000 people diagnosed with hypochondria, or the fear of being sick. Turns out, constantly being anxious about your health or doubting doctors' assurances causes alarming levels of stress. This chronic stress can do a number to your body's white blood cells, according to the Cleveland Clinic. Hypochondriacs face an 84% higher risk of all-cause mortality. Now, the Health Direct says if you know someone affected by hypochondria, then let them know you're there for them, listen, and help them follow the advice of a doctor. Reporting live, Michael Kmet, KSL News Radio.
Like you said, Tim, worrying about being sick is going to make you sick.
Yeah.
More to worry about.
And the more you worry about worrying. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, we're learning more about a carbon monoxide scare that affected dozens of people in Sevier County over the holiday weekend. Sheriff Nathan Curtis told KSL TV it was eye-opening.
We'd never had anything that big that happened before with that many people coming into the emergency room, needing medical care all at once. So it was a huge tax on our local services.
He's urging people to maintain their furnaces, but more importantly, their carbon monoxide detectors, and never to ignore any symptoms that seem out of place.
Park City residents can now apply for over $1,000 in child care assistance per child per month. Here's KSL News Radio's Emma Keddington.
Park City is working with Upwards, a national child care assistance program. Park City residents can apply to get as much as $1,700 of assistance per child per month. Upwards Community Impact Vice President Jessa Santangelo says this will help parents spend less than 10% of their income on child care.
We've got more information, including details on who's eligible and how you can apply at KSLNewsRadio.com.
We've got good speeds on the freeways and city streets to kick off our Wednesday drive. We'll take a look at traffic and weather together coming up next.
I decided to go to Mountain Heights Academy because online school makes me concentrate more on schoolwork, and we can work at our own pace. Each week has a schedule, but we can decide if we want to work ahead. We could have a 3-day weekend if we decide to turn everything in on Thursday. I really like Mountain Heights Academy because it's so flexible and it just works for me.
Mountain Heights Academy is an online public school for grades 7 through 12. Visit our website to learn how it can work for you.
2 years ago, Americans watched in horror as a crisis unfolded at the Kabul airport.
There's desperation and anguish.
More than 80,000 Afghans have since arrived in America, but this story is still unfolding. I'm Andrea Smartin. In my new podcast, Stranger Becomes Neighbor, we'll find out what happens to these new arrivals in our communities. Who would help our newest neighbors? Follow us at kslpodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you listen.
One of the stories we're going to follow this morning, and I'm sure we'll hear more from ABC, is this tug-of-war going on over immigration at the border. 300,000 migrants, a little over 300,000, were processed at the U.S. border in December, which is a new monthly record. KSL News Time now is 5:09. Time for a look at traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with DinoPay. Here's Andy.
And right now looks good as we start things off on the freeways through Salt Lake County, including I-15 and I-80. It had a little bit of heavy traffic heading towards Tooele County on westbound 80, but that is cleared. And it looks great coming in from Tooele County, whether you're on SR 36 or I-80, all the way over to 215's west side. Heather?
No problems through Weber and Davis counties. We've got good speeds on I-15, Legacy Parkway, and the West Side Belt. And right now, there's no accidents reported on city streets or the major freeways. Eric?
Heading out to the mountains, looks good on I-80 through Parley's Canyon, down to Utah County. I-15 northbound and southbound also in good shape. That's 24-minute drive northbound from Spanish Fork to Point of the Mountain. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly cloudy today with a high of 43. Yes, still dealing with a little bit of haze. Overnight lows dipping off into the upper 20s. For tomorrow, cloudy with a chance for flurries, 37 the high. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now in the KSL Common Spirit studios, it is 28 degrees.
Coming up in just a moment, we'll learn more about this airplane crash there on the runway in Tokyo Airport. I guess that they're saying now that if it had been a couple of feet in either direction, many more people would have died.
And that fireball that we saw in that video was actually the Coast Guard plane that was on the ground, and it was facing toward the plane that was landing.
Just astounding. A couple of feet difference, and it would have meant many lives. We'll learn more in a moment on KSL News Radio.
Stay with us. That's coming up next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Here's to everyone who was made to shine from Shane Company. To wearing your lucky gold chain to the game, to receiving your first communion in your new pearls, here's to getting down on one knee, to recommitting to forever, to saying yes to something sparkly just for you, just because. Here's to your first set of diamond studs, to the family heirloom you'll never take off. Here's to lighting up the room like only you can. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get the power of doing it right. Detailed project proposals, excellent customer service, and trusted professionals who get the job done on time and on budget. The power of experience. We're kings of the scaffolding and pros with the stucco. We've been there, done that. Get your project started at CertaPro.com and get the power of pro.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
Two friends taking pictures of the rising full moon on a summer night.
Two teenage kids doing what teenage kids do.
When a stranger with a gun and a death wish changed everything.
It was violent, it was senseless, and I will never understand it, I will never accept it.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and unfortunately, we're all too familiar with stories about how violence shatters lives. But what we rarely see is how they are rebuilt. In a new podcast, The Letter, we relive tragedy, but only so we can hear the rest of the story. The struggle to reclaim lives, the realities of grief, and the possibilities of forgiveness.
I believe in miracles. Sometimes I thought, there are no miracles. Yeah, there are, and this is a big one.
Follow The Letter at theletterpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Good morning, KSL News Time, 5:14. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
if running for office in Utah is one of your New Year's resolutions for 2024, the deadline to do that is coming up this Monday. On KSL News Radio's Mark Jackson.
Second, the Justice Department is threatening to sue the state of Texas over a new law giving state and local officials authority over the U.S. border.
Third, it's traffic and weather together.
Speeds are good so far this morning on I-15, but if you're coming in from Tooele County, it is pretty foggy on both SR-36 and I-80, particularly in the Lake Point area, but be prepared for it as far through south towards Tooele City. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly cloudy with showers in the southern half. I'm Matt Johnson.
28 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
And time for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. President Biden back from his New Year's trip, planning more discussions today on border security. And preparing to mark the anniversary of the Capitol Hill riot on Saturday. Here's ABC's Andy Field.
January 6th continues to be one of President Biden's strongest warnings ahead of this year's presidential election. He'll address the third anniversary of that attack in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. Mr. Biden will tell the audience that he thinks the threat Donald Trump posed to the U.S. government has grown even more dangerous and that President Biden is running to preserve democracy.
Former President Donald Trump, the frontrunner in the Republican race for the White House, is appealing to the Maine Supreme Court, the Maine Secretary of State's decision to remove him from the ballot, citing the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. An escalating showdown over immigration at the southern border, migrants being shipped to the suburbs outside cities like New York, Chicago, and Denver, after the mayors of those cities asked for more advance warning.
Lawmakers on both sides agree they need federal help and a solution from Congress to deal with this situation. The senators met with the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Negotiators are expected to keep meeting this week to try and reach a deal on the border.
That's ABC's Stephanie Ramos. Israel on high alert along its northern border after a top Hamas leader was killed in a Beirut drone strike. Here's ABC foreign correspondent Marcus Moore.
His name is Salah al-Aruri. This is a man who spent 27 years in an Israeli jail. He got out, but then lived the rest of his life in exile in Lebanon. But Israel had said that he was a target of theirs even before the October 7th attacks. Also, it's worth noting, this is a man who had a $5 million bounty for his capture from the U.S. for his role in past terrorist attacks in previous years.
The Energy Department says gas prices are now averaging $3.09 a gallon, a price not seen since 2021, the lowest in 3 years. You're listening to ABC News.
All right, let's go in depth because we have some new details this morning in that fiery collision of two planes on a Tokyo runway. It suggests it could have been so much worse. ABC's Matt Gutman has been speaking with witnesses and investigators in Japan who tell him if the impact of a passenger jet into a Coast Guard aircraft had been just a few feet further in either direction, far more people would have died.
In a statement, Japan Airlines says its crew had repeated confirmation of permission to land, but that's likely to be scrutinized in the coming days. Here is Matt's latest report.
French crash investigators, joined by 5 investigators from Airbus, will travel to Japan. This is what they'll be focusing on.
Japan 5 and 6 continuously.
Communication with air traffic control. Japanese authorities saying 5 members of that Coast Guard plane sitting on the runway were killed. This was part of the twin tragedies that struck Japan within 24 hours. That Coast Guard flight headed to western Japan to deliver aid after a massive 7.6 earthquake shook the country hours into the new year. The quake sparking fires and liquefying the ground, triggering mudslides. The death toll there rising. At least 55 people have died as rescuers race to find trapped residents under collapsed buildings. And more tremors today as new footage shows the widespread destruction, roads split in 2, homes buried under the mud.
5 people on that Coast Guard craft were killed, and none of the nearly 400 people on the jet were killed, but there were 14 reported injuries. And when I watched that video with fire coming out of every passenger window, I don't know how that is true, but grateful.
Yeah, they all got off before it actually was fully engulfed in flames. There is some video floating around this morning from passengers that were on board.
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd think, hey, turn on my phone, let's get some,
That's how people feel.
No, let's get off this thing.
Yeah.
But they all got off before it was fully engulfed. And so, again, as we said yesterday, that crew on that plane deserves all the credit in the world.
Oh, for sure.
But I also saw interviews yesterday with pilots, and these pilots of these big passenger jets, when you see the design of these planes, the pilots are sitting up high in the nose of the plane.
Right.
They can't always see what's below them in many cases.
Yeah.
As they're coming down. So, they're relying on their eyes on the ground to be able to tell them those things.
Right. And I couldn't make out what they were saying in that communication with the tower exactly, but I'm sure that'll be scrutinized.
Yeah, well, they were mimicking back to the tower that they had been cleared to land.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, the investigation continues. We know more today than we knew yesterday. We'll probably know more later in the week. We'll keep an eye on the story for you on the In-Depth at 15 and 45.
5:19 now. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s. Brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with Dino Pay. Andy?
Amanda, so far so good. If you're traveling through Salt Lake County on the northbound drive, whether you're on I-15 or on the west side on Bangerter, Mountain View. If you're coming out of Tooele, though, you can deal with some foggy conditions. In fact, it might be the reason for some of the slower traffic in the Skull Valley area before you even get towards Grantsville. But then as you get closer to Lake Point, it gets pretty thick on the city streets as well, Stansbury Park and Lake Point. Heather?
We're looking really nice through Weber and Davis County. Haven't seen any fog so far this morning on Legacy Parkway or even further north where we had it yesterday toward Willard Bay. You've got good speeds if you're on I-15 southbound from Ogden to Salt Lake. That's less than 30 minutes. Eric?
And you got a 20-minute drive northbound in Utah County from University Avenue in Provo up to Point of the Mountain. The rest of the county looks just fine as well. That includes Redwood Road traffic heading north out of Saratoga Springs up into the Bluffdale Riverton area this morning. Normal travel times there. Advanced Window Products, factory direct affordable windows. Call today. They're on their way. Financing available. Save now, pay later. AdvancedWindows.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast, mostly cloudy today with a high of 43. Tomorrow, 37, cloudy and a chance for flurries. Snow showers likely on Friday, 36. We go for snow showers again on Saturday, 35. Maybe a more robust storm on Sunday, but right now the track of that storm for Sunday does look like it continues to slide south. High of 33 then. 28's all you get for Monday, partly cloudy, and a chance for snow showers again as we work into Tuesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Hey, there ought to be a celebratory dance going on out there this morning. We had, 3 days yesterday, I think, with snowflakes?
Yeah.
5 of them in the next 7 days today. And those temperatures Monday, Tuesday on the back end of that weekend storm, cold, 18 and 16 degrees. Right now it's 28 in Salt Lake City. The 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
Sometimes being able to look at the traffic cameras is really strange. So now we're looking at Tooele County, and it just, you can barely see the headlights or the taillights of these cars.
Yeah.
That fog is thick.
I think that's a spot where we always have that problem because there's all that water,
really?
right along the freeway there, just to the north with the Great Salt Lake. But
Although
hopefully the drivers in that area are used to this.
We did get a text a minute ago that says the fog clears up at 5600 West. If you see conditions that are difficult and it's safe for you to do so, you can always let us know. Just text us here on the KSL text line at 57500.
Markets at the close yesterday were mixed. The Dow was up, the S&P and the NASDAQ down. We'll see what the futures look like next.
Are you one of those people? Those people. You know, self-driven, confident, love sales and understanding marketing. Would you like to work with a variety of businesses, large and small, helping them succeed? Do you want to actually make the kind of money you know you should make? Are you looking for a career with an opportunity to grow? Well, we're looking for those people. Bonneville Salt Lake Media Group is looking for account executives from a variety of backgrounds and experience levels to connect with high-potential business opportunities for digital marketing. KSL Podcasts, KSL News Radio, 103.5 The Era, FM 100.3, and 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. It's advertising sales that will change your world. Not to mention the world-class list of benefits we're famous for. You'll work in person and remotely in a dynamic team culture with opportunities to reach audiences both locally and globally. If this is the kind of work that interests you, text careers to 57500. That's careers to 57500. Text careers to 57500.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you can tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL, News Radio 1027.
Watching Utah's Money brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. The U.S. is in some serious debt. The Treasury says the nation's gross national debt has surpassed $34 trillion. This comes after the temporary lift of the nation's debt limit last year after the government ran up against its legal borrowing capacity. That agreement lasts until January 2025.
Almost 7,000 pounds of ground beef products are being recalled for possible E. coli contamination. There haven't been any illnesses reported yet, but officials believe many of it may still be in freezers. A full list of the recalled meat is available on the FDA's website.
The latest news in the chicken wars, the Crack Shack. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
The Crack Shack has been bought out by Houston, Texas Hot Chicken. The restaurant currently has one location in Lehigh, and the Main Street Crack Shack should be rebranded and reopened by late February. One of my sons, his latest addiction is Raisin Canes. He just loves Raisin Canes. Oh, my gosh. And we don't live particularly close to one, so we drive for a ways to get him.
I know my boys are all about the spicy, what is it, the Chick-fil-A spicy sandwich
They
or
love
something?
that, too. Mm-hmm.
All right. Futures markets today are down. I mentioned we were mixed yesterday. The Dow's off 110 right now. That's about 3/10. The S&P is down 18. The NASDAQ is off this morning by 91 points.
We've been reporting on some fog out in the Tooele area this morning on I-80, but the freeways are running at normal speeds along the Wasatch Front. We'll check it. Coming up next.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
What's up?
I'm tired of feeling so bloated.
That used to be me. Then I got this.
Align Bloating Relief plus food digestion. A probiotic, right?
Yeah, it works naturally with your gut to help soothe occasional bloating and gas. Plus, it has vitamin B12 to aid digestion by helping convert food to cellular energy. 2 benefits, 1 capsule.
Align Bloating Relief plus food digestion from the #1 doctor-recommended probiotic brand. Learn more at alignprobiotics.com.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure for max strength daytime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. DayQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure. The daytime, non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Boyd Matheson on the pitfalls of politics. Sadly, both political parties are more interested in scoring political points than they are solving the American people's problems. They're playing a zero-sum game, and it's not zero-sum. It's everybody coming together. We have to come together. Compromise has integrity. That's a big part of what's going wrong in our nation's capital and in many conversations around the country.
Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Dave and Dujanovic. We can have disagreements and still be friends. So often, I think people think that just because we disagree, that we're enemies. That we are not. We're great friends, even though we disagree.
I hope listeners take away something new every day, a new detail they hadn't heard before. And I also hope our show opens their minds to new ideas, new ways of thinking of things.
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic, 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
Born Michael King Jr. on January 15th, almost 100 years ago.
Rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice.
Minister, activist, and civil rights leader. His message, as important today as it was then.
Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children.
We honor the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.
at KSL News Radio.
529, it's traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with DinoPay. Andy, we're getting conflicting reports now whether that fog actually lifts at 5600 West. One of our latest texters says it's nasty out there.
Yeah, so it's pretty thick as you travel through Tooele County and into the Salt Lake Valley, but it does clear by the airport. Whether it actually ends right at 5600 West, but it does seem to thin a bit as you come further into the Salt Lake Valley. So be prepared. So far, no crashes in that fog. And I-15, so far so good from Bluffdale to downtown. Heather?
No crashes up north in Weber-Davis County, and we actually have clear skies. Yesterday we had the fog up by Willard Bay, but not so much this morning. You've got good speeds on I-15 and US 89, and it's a nice commute if you're going through the mountains on I-84 to and from Mountain Green. Eric?
Along the 215 eastbound, looking good northbound alongside the mountains from Cottonwood Heights up past Mount Olympus to Foothill Drive, which also looks good heading north. If you're on I-80 out into the mountains, so no problems there, as is 189 through Provo Canyon down Utah County. I-15 northbound, southbound, no accidents or delays. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Let's see about this weather forecast now. Today we'll have a high of 43 degrees. Then tomorrow we get a chance of snow. That chance of snow will last through Sunday. Come on, snow. Tomorrow's high will be 37 degrees, and it stays right around there, mid-30s until Sunday. And then after the storm moves out on Monday, it's clear and cold, 28 for a high on Monday when we get down to the teens overnight. Right now, it's cloudy and 28 degrees.
You're listening to Utah's Morning News with Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon
on KSL News Radio,
102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good morning, KSL News Time, 5:30.
KSL's top story this hour.
Qualtrics founder and jazz owner Ryan Smith wants to build a new hub for startups in Provo.
KSL News Radio's Michael Commit is live with that story. Michael?
Amanda, his vision is more than just an entrepreneurial hangout spot. The River District, as it's called, is a 26-acre development west of University Avenue and at the base of the Provo Canyon. It has 198 residential units and 300,000 square feet of office space. Smith's vision is that Provo will be a ground zero for intellectual and technological development, and he's footing the bill for the whole project. Smith thinks the spot's perfect, given Provo's history of tech startups and what he calls the scrappiness of its residents. Reporting live, Michael Commit, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories this hour. Maine Secretary of State is standing by her decision to bar former President Donald Trump from the ballot in her state, as his legal team officially filed appeals to the Maine Supreme Court. Shenna Bellows tells ABC News she was just doing her job.
The qualifications for president under the United States Constitution are not a menu. They're not optional. My job is to follow the Constitution and the law.
Both Maine and Colorado cited the 14th Amendment in their decisions removing Mr. Trump from the ballot. It bars anyone who engages in insurrection or rebellion from holding office.
This Saturday will mark 3 years since the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. ABC's Andy Field reports.
January 6th continues to be one of President Biden's strongest warnings ahead of this year's presidential election. He'll address the third anniversary of that attack in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, the spot where George Washington began the war that established American democracy. Mr. Biden will tell the audience that he thinks the threat Donald Trump posed to the U.S. government has grown even more dangerous and that President Biden is running to preserve democracy.
Polling suggests former President Trump continues to hold a strong lead over any Republican primary challengers.
They've only had one day to file so far, but already the field of candidates who want to replace Senator Mitt Romney is crowded. So far, Brent Hatch, the son of the late Senator Orrin Hatch, former House Speaker Brad Wilson, and Riverton Mayor Trent Staggs have all said they're running. Congressman John Curtis will file the official paperwork to run later this morning. Those candidates are all Republicans. Democrats say they will run a candidate, but haven't yet said who.
Congressman John Curtis's announcement was followed quickly by news of interest in filling his seat. The former Utah County Republican Party chair, Stuart Pay, has announced he plans to run for the 3rd District. Former State Representative Chris Herod told the Deseret News last month he planned to run if Curtis decided to run for Senate. And KSL.com reports State Senator Mike Kennedy and the founder of Circus Tricks, Case Lawrence, have exploratory committees.
By the way, if running for office is one of your New Year's resolutions, the deadline for that is next week.
Elections officials say next week's deadline, at close of business Monday, January 8th, may catch some by surprise. KSL.com reports thanks to a change in Utah law, the filing deadline was moved from the second Friday in March to next Monday. Filing period began yesterday. Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson officially ushering in the 2024 elections in Utah, applying to partisan candidates in federal, statewide, county, and local races. Henderson agreed to allow independent presidential candidates until March 5th. After Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sued over the January 8th deadline, Utah will hold primary elections on June 25th, and Election Day is November 5th. Mark Jackson, KSL News Radio.
UDOT is completing the final touches on the West Davis Highway with only 3 days until the big opening. KSL News Radio's Adam Small is live with details. Adam?
Amanda, the 16-mile highway that'll run from I-15 in Centerville to SR-193 in West Point is paved, painted, and pretty much ready to go.
It's really, really minimal in terms of most of the heavy lifting has already been done. So we're geared up and ready to open this highway.
UDOT spokesperson Mitch Shaw says after it opens, you might see a lane closure here or there because all that's left is really some landscaping and cosmetic work, but the actual road and trail system is ready to go. The project is one of UDOT's biggest undertakings with a $750 million price tag and 2.5 years of work. And by the way, they actually finished 6 months early. You can start driving on the new highway this Saturday morning at 11:30. Reporting live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
It's foggy. First look traffic this morning with Andy.
I-15 traffic has been fine, but out of Tooele County, I-80, you're going to deal with foggy conditions as well as the 21st South Freeway all the way into the valley before it finally thins out. And it is pretty thick, according to some of our listeners, in some spots. So be prepared, be safe. So far, no crashes, though. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, March might be 2 months away, but 4 Utah college basketball programs are looking solid in the latest bracketology projections. KSL News Radio's Becky Bruce has the breakdown live. Becky?
Amanda, ESPN's Joe Lunardi has 4 schools currently in the NCAA tournament from Utah. BYU, Utah, Utah State, and Weber State. And if those projections hold, BYU would be a number 3 seed facing 14 seed Weber State in the first round right here in Salt Lake City. He's got Utah as a 7 seed and Utah State as an 11 in the first 4. Only twice before, by the way, have 4 Division I schools in Utah made the tournament. Of course, it's all hypothetical until Selection Sunday, and we've got a ways to wait for that. Live, Becky Bruce, KSL News Radio.
How cool would that be,
Oh,
though?
my gosh.
The Cougs and the Wildcats squaring off in the tournament here
Yeah.
in Salt Lake.
Great game.
Speaking of basketball, BYU's leading scorer is getting high praise from ESPN's NBA draft analyst. Jackson Robinson is currently number 38 in the latest round of NBA draft rankings from ESPN's Jonathan Givony? Sorry, I'm unfamiliar.
I don't know him.
The last time BYU had a player selected in the draft was Jimmer Fredette all the way back in 2011.
Even though the Utah bill banning cell phones in classrooms failed, a Kaysville school has come up with their own policy.
So the community and students were a huge part of us putting this policy in place.
It was Centennial Junior High's principal, Mercy Rosmango, who said in a video released by Davis School District that they first brought the idea to parents and the school's community council. That policy applies to when students are in class, and there's a 3-strike rule before parents are involved.
So a referral is anytime a student is caught with their cell phone out or AirPods or messing with their smartwatch.
On the other side, students are given incentives like class ice cream parties for having a clean record. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
We've got good movement on I-15 in the valley, but that fog, we're looking at the UDOT camera out there on Saddleback Boulevard at Lake Point. Looks a little murky, a little soupy. Be careful on your way in this morning. We'll check traffic and weather together next.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. Listen, we're fiduciaries. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. Now, imagine how that would be if you could actually retire 3 to 5 years sooner than your plan was. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan, taking into consideration any rental properties that you have, any pension income that you have, your Social Security. Listen, we put that all together for you in writing. It will allow us to build your income based on inflation. You know, inflation has been rapidly rising. You and I both need a plan that whatever we start out our income at, in 5 or 10 years, we're going to need 40% more income. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Can an insurance bot ever really understand your needs?
Do you think I'd benefit from bundling my auto and home coverage?
Searching for homes with car dealerships nearby.
Sure, robots listen, but do they understand you? At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we'll help you save money and time by bundling your auto and home insurance. Find an agent at fbfs.com/protect. It's your future. Let's protect it. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
If you're just joining us this morning, this new hub for startups in Provo that Ryan Smith is talking about sounds interesting.
It reminds me of is it the Lassonde Institute up on the campus at the U, where students live there and develop startup-like companies and ideas at the location. It sounds like a big version of that.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great to have more of these types of programs out there where, on-the-job skills that are actually going to help you in your career.
Right, and where ideas can launch here in the state of Utah.
Yeah. It's a story Michael Commit is following for us this morning, so stay with us.
5:39, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with Dino Pay. Andy?
Amanda, it's the fog out of Tooele that's the issue this morning for drivers. We've seen some reduced speeds on I-80, even as far west as like Skull Valley coming out of the West Desert. But it definitely thick near Lake Point and then into the Salt Lake Valley, clearing up before you reach Bangerter and the airport. North 15 looks great, and so far so good. No issues with any kind of weather. Point of the mountain to downtown. Heather?
Traffic is still pretty calm through Weber and Davis County. It is starting to fill in just a little bit southbound I-15 in Davis County, mostly in the Clearfield-Layton area, but not enough to slow anybody down at this point. If you need to go to the airport, Legacy Parkway and the West Side Belt are your good choices for you. They're running at speed, and no problems on the city streets right now. Eric.
It's 28-minute drive northbound from Payson to Point of the Mountain. If you're in Utah County on I-15 this morning, getting over to the freeway from Highway 6 and Spanish Fork up to Timpanogos Highway, the north part of the county, everything in between, all of it looks good. And heading out to the Wasatch Back and Provo Canyon 189 without any delays. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
All right, a small storm is sliding to our south into Las Vegas. That will spread showers into southern Utah, but clouds for northern Utah. High of 43 with some haze out there. 28 overnight, increasing clouds and flurries. For your Thursday, 37, cloudy, and a chance for some flurries. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
It is a little bit warmer than it was yesterday to start the day. 28 degrees now in Salt Lake.
Well, even though Congress isn't back officially to the Capitol, there are people, both representatives from Congress and from the White House, who are working on this border deal. We'll get the latest on that with Karen Travers just ahead on KSL.
That is coming up. Remember, you'll find us streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Tim and Amanda.
You know, we've been doing this, 30 years, Tim? We know that the news can be heavy. We know that it can be difficult sometimes to listen to or understand. But that doesn't mean that we're supposed to live in that down place every day. We learn the news, we're educated so we can take care of our families. But then, you know what? We go out and have a good day.
Well, I think both of us come from the standpoint, and we have families. We have kids that are coming up different ages. Yours are younger than mine. Mine are grown adults. But we always try and look for the bright side, I think, because we all want to have that in our lives.
And it's there. There is a bright side.
There is a bright side out there, and so we look for those opportunities each day to hopefully send that message to you, even if it's not directly, in words, that at least in sentiment, things are going to be okay.
Do you know what I like to tell people? The news is the exception, not the rule. So if there's violence in the news, that's the exception. The rule is most of us are safe and happy and doing okay.
Amen.
Utah's morning news between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
KSL News Time, 5:45. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
UDOT says the heavy lifting is done on the West Davis Highway. It's all cosmetic work and final inspections ahead of the big opening this Saturday. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, at least 4 Republicans have already filed or plan to file to run to replace Senator Mitt Romney.
Third, it's traffic and weather together.
So far, the only traffic issue has been foggy conditions coming from Tooele County into the Salt Lake Valley. We haven't had any crashes yet, even in the fog or in the parts that we don't have fog. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly cloudy today, but a series of small storms coming. I'm Matt Johnson.
It's 30 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
And time for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The race for the White House heating up less than 2 weeks until the Iowa caucuses, and Donald Trump is still solidly out in front.
Trump still holding a commanding lead in the polls, more than 30 points ahead. His rivals blasting his decision to skip the debate stage. His closest opponent, Nikki Haley, gaining momentum. Only Trump, DeSantis, and Haley have qualified for the next debate. Haley challenging Trump to show up, saying as the debate stage continues to shrink, it's getting harder for Donald Trump to hide.
That's ABC's Ike Ejiochi. The former president's legal team appealing to the Maine Supreme Court, the Maine Secretary of State's decision to bar him from the ballot there. House Speaker Mike Johnson and 60 other Republican lawmakers visiting the southern border today as a White House official says negotiations on border security are, quote, moving in the right direction. New federal indictment for New Jersey Democratic Senator Bob Menendez, now accused of receiving things of value from Qatar. This is ABC News.
All right, time for the KSL In-Depth. Lawmakers are struggling to make a deal on border policy, and it's still tied to aid packages for Ukraine and Israel.
ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers joins us live. Are all the controversies with these buses showing up in other states, are they moving this process forward any faster?
You know, I don't know if it's moving it forward any faster. It's putting more of a spotlight maybe on it, and it's certainly giving more attention to the broader issue. But, you know, it's not really moving things along any quicker because these conversations continue. And just to kind of refresh everybody, this is the same thing we were talking about before the holidays. It's the same negotiators. They're still having these same conversations about how to reach a deal on border policy provisions in order to unlock that entire supplemental aid package that includes the funding for Ukraine that the White House wants, that they've been pushing for months now, and also money for Israel and the Asia Pacific region. The negotiators kept meeting by phone and video call over the holiday break and met yesterday in person with the Homeland Security Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, up on Capitol Hill. It's about an hour-and-a-half meeting, we were told, but there wasn't a lot of optimism coming out of it from what we heard from lawmakers. That said, they were very tight-lipped about the specifics of where negotiations stand. Chris Murphy, who's one of the Democrats leading the charge on this, said it's very hard. That was his candid approach on all of this, saying it's very hard to reach an agreement. But he said they're going to do their best to come to a conclusion, and he feels they'll be ready to present something to the Republicans and Democrats, both caucuses, next week when all of the senators come back to Washington. Does that mean he can present an agreement, that a framework for something? That remains to be seen, but they've got a couple more days to keep at it, and we're told they're going to be meeting again today.
Obviously, our elected officials are the face of this, Karen, but how much of this is done by the non-elected behind the scenes before the senators even come back?
You know, a lot of it, but I think at this point, that was all happening weeks ago. Now, from the White House end of it, it is the senior officials who are involved. You've got the budget director, the legislative affairs director, who are very, very detailed and involved in these conversations. The senators who were handling the negotiations, especially on the Republican side, felt that things kicked it up a notch when you started getting cabinet secretaries involved, when you started seeing more of a senior official presence from the administration, and that helped move the process along. Now, it didn't get a deal before the holiday break, but that they felt that things were speeding up a little bit towards some sort of agreement. So here we are now, and I think the big question today at the briefing for Karine Jean-Pierre, for the National Security Spokesman John Kirby, is going to be, it's now January, and this is now such an urgent issue for the White House. We were hearing it, back in December about the urgency of aid for Ukraine. At what point does the president get involved? Because he is not directly involved in this. Sure, he is putting pressure publicly with comments, things he has said to reporters, statements he's put out, but he has not engaged in a public, meaningful way that we have seen with lawmakers. He says he's had some conversations with critical congressional leaders on this. But again, when do we see him dive headfirst into this, and does that move it along even further?
If you have just one more second, Karen, do you know?
Yeah.
Do you happen to know what any of the sticking points are on the border issue?
Yeah. You know, it's the same things that we were saying before the holiday break. And again, we don't have a lot of the specifics, but the broad brushstrokes are that they're looking at proposals to make it harder for some migrants to claim asylum. They're looking at ways to potentially speed up deportations. And these are such complicated issues. And you also have pressure from some progressive Democrats who don't like that Democrats are looking to potentially make a deal on these things. They don't like that the White House might be making a deal on these things. So that's what we're looking at right now. Those are two big issues that they might be considering making major changes to. But again, the senators who yesterday were in these negotiations were very tight-lipped about where they are on the specifics.
Well, and luckily, we're all, I think, at a point where we understand something needs to be done at the border for sure. Yeah. Karen, thanks as always. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers.
With us on the In-Depth at 15 and 45.
All right, let's get a look at how the roads are doing. If you're already out and about, traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with Dino Pay. Here's Andy.
Well, it's I-80 out of Tooele with the foggy conditions as well as the 21st South Freeway. That's the story this morning. I'm seeing some reduced speeds on Mid-Valley Highway where it joins onto I-80 in Tooele County as well. Salt Lake Valley I-15 was starting to get heavy for just a touch in Draper, but right now it looks pretty good from Bangerter all the way to the 215 South interchange. Heather?
Well, traffic continues to fill in southbound I-15 through both Weber and Davis counties, but so far not enough traffic to cause any type of delay. You're still going to have good speeds, less than 30 minutes from Ogden to Salt Lake. US 89 Legacy Parkway in the West Side Belt also traveling at speed right now. Eric?
And we're looking good in Utah County so far. It's a 24-minute drive northbound from Spanish Fork to Point of the Mountain. The major feeders over to the freeway also in good shape. Along the 215 East Belt back in Salt Lake County, looking good from 6200 South. That's Knutson's Corner up past the mountains to the mouth of Parley's Canyon. And Foothill Drive traffic heading north also in good shape. Revere Health encourages you to schedule your preventative care and annual checkups to help increase the potential to live your most healthy and active life. Revere Health, your partner in health, your partner in life. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast, mostly cloudy today with a high of 43. Then a chance for flurries tomorrow, high of 37. 36 snow showers likely on Friday. We go 35 with more snow showers possible on Saturday evening. Down to 33 on Sunday. We keep snow showers in the forecast. We love to see it. 28 and partly cloudy. Cold for your Monday. We work into Tuesday. Another chance for snow showers. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, downtown, it's cloudy and 30 degrees in the 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
It was exciting this morning to find out, and it's early, that if the bracketology predictions hold, 4 schools from Utah will actually play in the tournament in
Wouldn't
March.
that be wonderful?
Yeah, and 2 of them could face off here in Salt Lake City, the Cougars and the Wildcats, Weber State. Speaking of Cougar basketball, Big 12 Conference kickoff show's coming up tomorrow at noon. Mitch Harper is going to be hosting. It is that time of the season, and this is the toughest what do they call the gauntlet of college basketball in the Big 12, but the Cougars have been playing really well. Be fun to hear it tomorrow, so join us at noon on KSL News Radio, the home of Cougar basketball.
Jeff Kaplan. I'm originally from New Jersey. It's a little different than Utah. Oh, okay. It's a lot different than Utah. You understand what I'm saying here? I first came here on a date. I had an employee who lived in Utah, and I said, that girl, I think I'm going to meet her, and it's tax deductible. I never left. I've never left. I've been here for going on 15 years now, and we've been married for 12. I've been around the block in the radio business. I've worked for a lot of major companies. There are none with the commitment to the community that I found at KSL. There are none with the camaraderie of the staff that I found at KSL. And there are none with the commitment of management and the company to the safety, the health, the welfare of their staff. And I just love this place.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Watching Utah's Money this morning is brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. More Americans are able to get insulin for just $35. Drug maker Sanofi is now capping prices and offering saving programs to patients. That deal went into effect January 1.
KSL Drive's car sales rebounded last year. Analysts project a 13% increase from 2022. Major car manufacturers will release their numbers later today and tomorrow, so we'll see if the analysts are right.
We did our part to boost those numbers last year. Steep price cuts seem to work for Tesla. Fourth quarter sales increased by almost 20%. The company said it sold 484,507 vehicles from October through December. That's over 10,000 more than Wall Street estimated.
Let's get a look at your money at this moment. The futures are down this morning. Dow futures off 130, that's 0.3%. S&P futures off 20, that's 0.4. The Nasdaq futures down 112, that's 0.7%.
And it's time for Cougar Tracks. Here's KSL Sports BYU insider Mitch Harper.
The Big 12 Conference boasts the nation's best basketball league. For 8 of the last 10 seasons, the Big 12 has been rated as the #1 conference by advanced metrics. The 2024 season is well on its way to being another big year for the Big 12, and BYU has the chance to compete through it all. Head coach Mark Pope knows this journey in the Big 12 will pose a lot of challenges.
I think we're really confident that we're going to get there. We'll see how long it takes us. I think we're really confident with some of the ingredients along the way. Like, we know we're going to be punched in the face. That's the nature of the Big 12. We know there was going to be moments as we go through this conference season where it's like, you know, things feel like a disaster and they're not working. That's part of the nature of being in the most competitive league in probably all of college sports.
To hear our interview with Mark Pope, tune into the BYU and the Big 12 season preview show tomorrow at noon, right here on KSL. With Cougar Tracks, I'm Mitch Harper on your legacy home of the BYU Cougars, KSL News Radio.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care would love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Boyd Matheson on the pitfalls of politics.
I think the biggest thing we all have to reject is the status quo. We have to reject the kind of politics that have been served up to us and that we've bought into. The biggest question for all of us is, what are we afraid of? And often what we're afraid of is losing power. Politicians often tell us, you can vote for whoever you want, but if you vote for someone other than me, you'll lose power, you'll lose influence. And we have to reject that. Our voting right is our most sacred and fundamental right. Vote for the best person, even if they're not in either political party. Some will try to convince you that's throwing your vote away and the evil, awful other side is going to win because of that. That's what they want you to believe. Because if you're functioning out of a position of fear, we all lose. You'll vote for the status quo, and that keeps the status quo in power.
Join Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio. 5:59, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with Dino Pay. Andy?
Amanda, got our first crash of the morning. It's 21st South Freeway at the 900 West exit. In fact, it's right at the beginning of the exit ramp itself over on the right shoulder. Traffic coming out of Tooele, though, is pretty foggy this morning, affecting drivers along I-80, SR-36, and Mid-Valley Highway as you go to get on I-80. In fact, we have some backups in Lake Point now just before the I-80 on-ramp. Heather?
No problems up north through Weber and Davis counties. We've got good visibility, dry roads, and traffic is at speed right now southbound I-15 from Ogden to Salt Lake. That's less than 30 minutes. Eric.
And it's a 30-minute drive from Santaquin to Point of the Mountain. If you're in Utah County, you're going to do the whole stretch northbound I-15 this morning. If you're heading through Provo Canyon, 189 is in solid shape going out to Heber City. And down in Spanish Fork territory, Highway 6 out to Price, also looking good if you're heading in that direction. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
All right, last to the 40s today. Matter of fact, by Monday, we won't even be in the 30s. A high of 28, a low in the teens, but 4 of the next 5 days with possibility of snow coming.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good morning. KSL News Time is 6 o'clock. This is Utah's Morning News. I'm Tim Hughes.
And I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour.
Texas could face a federal lawsuit over a new law that would soon allow their local authorities to arrest and prosecute illegal immigrants.
Some big cities are also calling for federal intervention when it comes to busing large groups of migrants in without notice. Our live team coverage, Crisis at the Border, begins with KSL News Radio's Adam Small. Adam?
Amanda, Texas's new law, which takes effect in March, has gotten sharp criticism from the Biden administration. However, the Department of Justice actually believes the new law is unconstitutional and now threatened to sue over it. At the same time, New York City officials are calling out Texas Governor Greg Abbott for skirting a new order for Mayor Eric Adams that requires bus operators to give a day-and-a-half notice when they bring in migrants. Apparently, around 400 were recently dropped off in New Jersey so they could take the train into the city. New York City Hall Chief Lisa Zornberg had some harsh words for the Texas governor.
He can't be reasoned with. He can't be negotiated with. He just wants to watch this country burn.
4 Chicago suburbs have now passed ordinances as well to fine bus companies who do not give notice when they drop off migrants. Reporting live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
The migrant crisis is now hitting American suburbs far from the southern border. Our live team coverage, Crisis at the Border, continues with ABC's Ika Jachi.
Hundreds of migrants were dropped off at bus and train stations outside New York City after Mayor Eric Adams issued an order requiring buses carrying migrants into New York give 32 hours notice. A similar situation in Chicago, where 4 suburbs passed an ordinance last night prohibiting the transport of large groups of people without an approved application. Since 2022, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has bused more than 80,000 migrants from Texas to so-called sanctuary cities. Mayor Adams' administration furious with Abbott, even comparing him to the Joker in The Dark Knight.
A White House official says funding for the border crisis is undergoing negotiations.
Just outside of Chicago, residents showed up in force at a city council meeting last night with big concerns about what they're seeing.
First person I saw was a young little kid in a little teeny stroller. Couldn't have been but 3 years old. Kid looked sick. I wanted to pick him up and take him to the hospital.
One Woodstock, Illinois council member said they received migrants from age 18 months to senior citizens, and none of them dressed for the Chicago winter weather.
A key border crossing that's been closed for a month in Arizona is set to reopen this week. KSL News Radio's Nick Sadowski has more now from Phoenix.
The Biden administration is reopening the Lukeville port of entry tomorrow morning at 6. It's been closed since December 4th so that personnel who usually man the crossing could be redirected to help Border Patrol take migrants into custody. Customs and Border Protection says operations are resuming in Eagle Pass, Texas, San Diego, and Nogales.
The Lukeville Port of Entry is the main crossing point for travelers heading between Phoenix and Rocky Point, which is a popular beach getaway. Arizona businesses say having it closed has hurt their bottom line.
We're getting a better idea now of exactly what happened before a man from Park City was found dead at Salt Lake City International Airport. KSL TV's Shelby Lofton spoke to a nurse who witnessed the event.
Passenger Kaylee Nelson waited in her seat while the pilot announced they were taking off slightly later than scheduled.
There was a medical emergency on the de-icing pad, and then the police showed up.
Across the tarmac, Nelson used her cell phone to zoom in on the body she saw lying underneath the engine.
They put his body into an ambulance, and the ambulance didn't drive away. And I know that if that happens, then they're no longer living.
The man was later identified as 30-year-old Kyle Effinger. It's still not clear how he died.
This year's holiday travel rush went pretty smoothly, but a mix-up at Tampa International Airport brought one teenage traveler to an unexpected destination. 16-year-old Logan Lowe's was set to fly by himself to Cleveland the Friday before Christmas, but wound up in Puerto Rico. Frontier Airlines operates flights to Cleveland and San Juan from Tampa, both out of the same gate, and Logan had just boarded the earlier plane by mistake. The incident caused a bit of a scare for Logan's dad, Ryan, who says his son actually had his headphones on during the pre-flight announcement.
If he would have landed in another state, I could have gotten in a car and drove, had him on the phone and said, hey, Logan, just don't do anything. Just stay there. I'll be there in X amount of hours. I can't do that when he's in Puerto Rico.
They usually do remind you. This flight is headed
Yeah.
to...
Yeah, and just like in the Home Alone movie, he had his headphones on and he didn't hear the announcement.
Yeah, the airline says Logan was flown back to Tampa immediately, then on to Cleveland the next day.
First look traffic now, and here's Andy Farnsworth.
I-15 traffic's been fine this morning. We've got a crash 21st South Freeway near 900 West and foggy conditions to deal with on I-80 and especially SR-36 in Tooele County. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
The man accused of shooting at random drivers in Juab County has been convicted. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Adam Lloyd Gein is convicted of 5 counts of attempted murder after shooting at random cars on I-15. It was back in 2021 when police responded to multiple shots fired on the freeway between Nephi and Scipio. Gein was in an SUV shooting people from behind, hitting 5 different drivers. He took a plea deal, reducing his charges. His attorney said he was drinking at the time and not in his right mind. He faces anywhere from 5 to 75 years in prison. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
A Utah state lawmaker had a medical emergency in the lobby of a Cache Valley radio station. Representative Dan Johnson was getting ready for an interview with KVNU when he started feeling ill. The Cache Valley Daily reports radio station employees assisted while waiting for paramedics to arrive. Family members say as of last night, Johnson was in stable condition.
A small-town meeting house in Sevier County will stay closed while the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints makes sure it's safe after that carbon monoxide leak that sickened dozens of people. Sheriff Nathan Curtis tells KSL-TV that carbon monoxide poisoning should never be taken lightly.
It comes on quick, and if you aren't paying attention to it and don't get care, you may not wake up.
Everyone is expected to make a full recovery.
Anyone suffering from illness anxiety disorder, aka hypochondria, is at a greater risk of dying early. KSL News Radio's Michael Commit is live with that story. Michael?
Amanda, that conclusion comes from Swedish researchers. In a nutshell, someone with hypochondria can suffer from threatening levels of stress. From there, the stress can affect your white blood cell level and, in effect, your ability to fight diseases. This data points to a troubling statistic. 84% of people in the study had a higher risk of all-cause mortality than those who aren't diagnosed, and that includes death at a younger age. It's an irony that can be cut with a knife. Reporting live, Michael Commit, KSL News Radio.
We had spots of fog out around Lake Point if you were coming to or from Tooele County. We'll see if that's still the case with traffic and weather together coming up.
Jeff Kaplan here for my good friends at Advanced Window Products. Jake Weber and Nate Orchard are spreading the holiday cheer with their biggest sale of the year. If the wind whistles through your windows, if you want a fresh new look for your #1 investment, your home, call Advanced Window Products and take advantage of this incredible end-of-year sale. Replace all of your windows and frames, and you get $2,500 off. But that's not all. You get a free premium glass upgrade. Insulate your home against the cold with double-pane windows and stylish frames, any style, any color, and they're built custom right here at their headquarters in Salt Lake City for 37 years. They build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. Plus, an additional $2,500 off and a free premium glass upgrade. You can save now, pay later, so take advantage. Call now, Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100, 801-850-9100, or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Start the new year on the right note. Join the Utah Symphony January 4th through 6th for a program featuring the work Beethoven himself considered one of his best. Experience world-class musicians performing his exhilarating 7th Symphony, along with works by Mozart and more. Plus, before the performance, everyone, even adults, can try a musical instrument at our instrument petting zoo in the lobby. Tickets start at $21. Get yours at utahsymphony.org. Listen to the greatest classical hits from the 1700s to today. The Utah Symphony's Masterworks concerts offer elegant and entertaining evenings at Marisa Brovnal Hall in the heart of Salt Lake City, featuring timeless masterpieces by Beethoven, Dvorak, and Mozart, and even world premieres from modern composers. Tickets start as low as $21. Get yours at utahsymphony.org.
News sponsored by the Utah Symphony. Hear the greatest hits from the 1700s to today with the Utah Symphony.
Boy, our elected officials back in Washington going to have a lot on their plate when they get back into the office next week. Border Patrol now saying 302,000 migrants were processed at the U.S. southern border last month alone. That'd be a monthly record. KSL News Time 6:09. Time for a look at traffic and weather together. Again, brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with Dino Pay. How are we looking, Andy?
Well, we got a crash eastbound 201 900 West. Thankfully, because of where it is at the beginning of that exit ramp, it hasn't had an impact on the main flow going past it, at least other than maybe just dipping down below the speed limit, but you're not having to come to a stop. Foggy conditions have been affecting drivers in Tooele County. A little bit of slowing SR 36 in Lake Point. If you're taking I-15 from Draper to downtown, though, there's nothing to slow you down at this time. Heather?
We've got a bit of congestion trying to get into the west gate of Hill Air Force Base in Clearfield. It is affecting both Main Street and 650 North in all directions, so that's going to take you a little bit of extra time to get into. You don't have any issues, though, right now at the South Gate or Roy Gate. Now, if you hop on I-15 from Ogden, southbound, you're still 30 minutes or less all the way into Salt Lake with no slowdown showing. Eric?
And same thing in Utah County. We don't have any issues on I-15. It looks good northbound from Provo up to Lehigh. And if you're out in the mountains, I-80 in Parley's Canyon looking great going out to the Kimball Junction exit. And if you're on the Wasatch Back, no trouble there on US 40 between Heber City and Park City. Update your kitchen with Durden's Appliance, where they meet any competitor's price. Visit Durdens.com or on 5th South and Bountiful. Durden's, brand you know at prices you'll love. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly cloudy today with a high of 43. A little bit of haze as we've seen some improvement. 28 overnight goes to 37 with cloudy skies tomorrow. And yes, a chance for some flurries. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Now we're where we started the day yesterday, 25 in Salt Lake City.
We were reporting on this yesterday, the amount of debt that Americans ended 2023 with and how soon they might be able to pay it off. Matt Gephardt has a report for us in just a moment that says this is not as big of a problem as we think. So I'd like to hear what he has to say. That's just ahead.
All right, stay with us. You'll find us streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Paid for by government.com.
The 1878 to 1921 Morgan Silver Dollar, a true American classic and one of the most iconic silver dollar coins in history. It's been 100 years since the last Morgan Silver Dollar coin was struck for circulation, and now, for a limited time only, full-pound bags of original U.S. government-struck Morgan dollars are being released to the public. That's right, you can own a full pound of 1878 to 1921 classic American Morgan Silver Dollar coins, all in very good collector condition with fully visible dates and mint marks, guaranteed. Call 1-800-473-0864 now to secure collector-grade U.S. Morgan Silver Dollars by the pound, struck during the Wild West and the Gilded Age. Plus, receive a bonus American Collector's Pack, valued at over $25, free with every order. Call 1-800-473-0864 now to secure your full pound bag of Morgan Silver Dollar coins before they are gone. 1-800-473-0864. That's 1-800-473-0864.
Have you heard of IRS Tax Code Section 1.408A-4? It sounds complicated, but it's a simple tax law thousands of Utah families are using to lock in lower tax bills when they retire. If you've saved at least $200,000 for retirement, and some of this money is in an IRA or 401k, it could save you tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars in future tax bills. You can find out how much you could save by requesting a free and confidential retirement tax savings analysis. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, a 5-time winner of Utah's Best of State Award. For your free retirement tax analysis, call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
When you choose Performance Automotive in Bountiful, you're choosing selection, convenience, and exceptional service. 4 locations: Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, Performance Toyota, and Ford Truck Country. all dedicated to delivering you the best auto experience anywhere. Looking for your first car? Maybe you want rugged power or the stylish ride of your dreams. New or used. See it all at PerformanceBountiful.com. PerformanceBountiful.com.
Good morning, KSL News Time, 6:15. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
hypochondriacs are facing higher mortality rates due to chronic levels of stress. I'm KSL News Radio's Michael Commit.
Second, the Justice Department is threatening to sue Texas over a new law allowing local and state officials to enforce border security.
Third, a look at traffic and weather together.
So far, so good on the freeways. I-15, the only crash we have is on 201 freeway at 900 West, but it hasn't caused any extra delay this morning between Redwood or I-15. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly cloudy with showers in the southern half. I'm Matt Johnson.
30 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
And time for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. President Biden back from his New Year's trip and promising to continue work on southern border security. The Biden administration now headed to the U.S. Supreme Court over razor wire set up in Texas. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
The Justice Department argues that the concertina wire impedes Border Patrol agents trying to help asylum seekers making the hazardous crossing of the Rio Grande, and that dozens of migrants drowned in the river last year. The Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals says the Border Patrol is not allowed to cut the wire, but the DOJ has appealed to the Supreme Court. On Tuesday, the administration asked that the lower court's ruling be put on hold during the appeal process. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Explosions at an event honoring Qasem Soleimani, a prominent Iranian general killed in a U.S. airstrike in 2020. At least 20 people were killed in Tehran. A federal appeals court with a ruling on a Texas abortion law designed to save the life of the mother.
The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that federal regulations cannot require hospitals in Texas to perform life-saving abortions if it runs afoul of state law. The decision negates the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, at least in Texas. The act was put into place after Roe v. Wade was overturned.
That's ABC's Daria Albinger. As the new year gets underway, the first of two major storms is set to sweep across the country, bringing heavy rain and snow to many areas. ABC's Mola Lengi is in San Francisco and says the West Coast is already getting hit.
There are also high surf alerts in effect from San Diego up here to San Francisco. Winter weather advisories also in effect for the Sierra Nevada mountains and the mountains of L.A. and Ventura counties. Some spots could see up to a foot of snow this week. So as you can imagine, the West Coast really preparing for a wet week.
The storm could bring New York City its first significant snowfall in nearly 2 years. More resources headed to Japan as the search for earthquake victims goes on. So far, we know 65 people were killed in the tremor. You're listening to ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. Americans ended 2023 with record levels of debt, but it's not as catastrophic as it seems.
KSL TV's Matt Gephardt reports.
The news surrounding consumer debt has been bleak. It makes sense after the past couple of years with everything from gas to groceries costing more.
We hit a record high, an absolute record high of $1.2 trillion in credit card debt. That is a huge number.
It is concerning to be sure, but there is a silver lining, says Christine Mathern, an editor at Wallet Hub. She says that when you zoom out, that same inflation that has contributed to the eye-popping record debt numbers also softens the blow in the long run.
When you adjust for inflation to compare this number to past years, our current credit card debt total is actually 15% lower than the highest number in 2008.
2008. That was the Great Recession, a record debt year. Not exactly a goalpost for which economists think we should strive, but also a little cushion to the blow that our debt feels so out of control.
Yeah, you have a big number here, and yes, inflation is bad, but also no, the sky is not quite falling.
We never think the sky is falling. The sky is not falling.
Yeah, but
that's not a good message, though, if it says, yeah.
And that's based on, comparing debt to debt,
right.
But it's the interest rate right now with that debt that is really crippling some people because obviously your monthly payment goes up.
Right. But I think it's important to remember what she said. The sky is not falling.
Yeah.
All is well.
And you have no choice once you run that debt up. You got to keep battling
through it.
You
bought it, you got to pay for it.
Keep walking forward. As always, our thanks to KSL TV's Matt Gephardt for that one on the In-Depth at 15 and 45.
6:19, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s. Brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with Dino Pay. Andy?
And right now through the valley, I-15's looking great as you head north. Bangor beginning to fill in a little bit in Taylorsville around 4700 South. Cleanup of a crash continues continues 21st South Freeway at 900 West, although it's had little impact. You don't need to avoid the area going over from Redwood to I-15. Fog still affecting you, though, Tooele County, especially SR 36 Mid-Valley Highway as you go to I-80. Heather?
We're seeing quite a bit more traffic now through Weber and Davis counties, not only on the I-15 corridor, which is actually still at speed southbound between Ogden and Salt Lake, but on a lot of the city streets like Main Street as you move between Clearfield and Layton, and also the west gate of Hill Air Force Base is very congested now, both on Main Street and 650 North. But the good news is we don't have any accidents reported through Weber or Davis counties. Eric?
And we're crash-free along the 215 eastbound, delay-free as well, northbound from Cottonwood Heights up to the mouth of Parley's Canyon. If you're getting on Foothill Drive going up towards the University of Utah, no trouble so far. I-15 Utah County northbound and southbound is looking good. Common Spirit, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with kindness is here. Hello, kindnesses. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast, mostly cloudy today with a high of 43. Tomorrow, 37, cloudy and a chance for flurries. Snow showers likely on Friday, 36. We go for snow showers again on Saturday, 35. Maybe a more robust storm on Sunday, but right now the track of that storm for Sunday does look like it continues to slide south. High of 33 then. 28's all you get for Monday, partly cloudy, and a chance for snow showers again as we work into Tuesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
They call it mostly cloudy this hour, 25 degrees, and your 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
Boy, after that exciting Jordan Clarkson triple-double the other night, it'll be fun to be at the Delta Center tonight for our Adam Small, who'll be there with all the fans.
Well, and they have been playing so well, even on that road trip. You know, they lost a game they should have won.
But they won a game they might have lost.
Yeah, and then they come home and really put it back on Dallas, which is one of the better teams, one of the best road teams, if not the best road team in the NBA.
Right. So it's Dallas tonight, right, Tim?
It's Detroit
I'm
tonight.
Sorry, Detroit tonight.
Yeah.
And then let's see, Friday night, it's the Jazz at Boston, and we'll have that game for you here. So as you're headed home from work on Friday night, you can tune into KSL. The coverage begins at 5 p.m.
Coming up next, of course, we'll check your money news. Last time we looked, all of the markets, the futures markets, were down after a mixed close yesterday on your way home. KSL News Time, 6:22.
Does your student have a hard time getting up in the morning? Or struggle to fit certain classes into a packed schedule? Consider a few online classes at Mountain Heights Academy, a tuition-free online public charter school. Any Utah student in grades 9 through 12 can replace a few traditional classes with high-quality online courses and get the best of both worlds. Their teachers have years of experience in digital education, and all courses meet Utah graduation requirements. Learn more at mountainheightsacademy.org.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get
the power of a cut above.
Decades of expertise to transform your home, from so-so to virtuoso.
The power of neighborhood painters.
We live where you live and probably like the same pizza place you do. Put
the power of pro
to work for you today. Get your project started at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
Brought to you by Dominion Energy's ThermWise program, where they put their energy into helping you conserve it. Start saving energy and money today at thermwise.com.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. Listen, we're fiduciaries. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. Now, imagine how that would be if you could actually retire 3 to 5 years sooner than your plan was. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan, taking into consideration any rental properties that you have, any pension income that you have, your Social Security. Listen, we put that all together for you in writing. It will allow us to build your income based on inflation. You know, inflation has been rapidly rising. You and I both need a plan that whatever we start out our income at, in 5 or 10 years, we're going to need 40% more income. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Watching Utah's Money, brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. The two government spending bill deadlines are coming up quick, one on January 19th and the other on February 2nd. Congress already struggled to come to an agreement on the extension back in November. The forecasting site Kalshi thinks there is a 30% chance the government will shut down this month.
Or kick the can down the road, which they're pretty good at. Starbucks will now let customers use reusable cups for almost every order, including customers going through the drive-thru. It's part of the coffee chain's goal to reduce waste, but if you're going to bring your own cup, it has to be clean, and it has to be under 40 ounces.
World shares have dropped after Wall Street started 2024 with a slump, giving back some big gains from last year. U.S. futures were lower and oil prices declined. Some of the market's sharper drops came from stocks that were last year's biggest winners. Apple had its worst day in nearly 5 months.
You were mentioning the Pistons are in town tonight to take on the Jazz. Pistons finally broke the fever. They beat Toronto the other night. It was like 128 to 126 or something, but It was the end of a 28-game losing streak.
I'm happy for them because that's a hard monkey to have on your back.
Well, 2 days later, they started a new losing streak by getting beat by the Houston Rockets. All right, futures markets this morning are in the red. The Dow is down 101. The S&P is off by about 19. The NASDAQ in the red this hour by 0.6% or 106 points.
We do have an eastbound crash on the 201 freeway that's still being cleared. That's at about 700 West. We'll check that and the rest of your commute coming up next.
If you've ever set New Year's resolutions before, you know how difficult it is to follow through because you have to wait to see the results. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and in honor of your New Year, New You resolutions, Any Hour Services is having our New Year, New System sale. From now until the end of February, Any Hour Services will give you $2,024 off a new furnace and air conditioner. And you don't have to wait to save the money. You get $2,024 off at the time of purchase. The only thing you have to do to qualify for our New Year, New System sale is call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. When you call, there's no obligation to buy. Just schedule a time to meet that works best for you. Let me say that again. From now until the end of February, when you have Any Hour Services install a new furnace and air conditioner, we'll give you $2,024 off. Call Any Hour Services right now and schedule a free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Dave and Debbie. One of my favorite things about Debbie is when we're in the middle of an interview, a light flips on and there's something that she picked out. I call it her spidey sense. And then she just tenaciously goes after that line of questioning. If someone tries to spin it, she's respectful, but she's firm. And she won't let you go with just that easy, trite answer. She's going to get down to the bottom of it, and I love it.
I've always been impressed with Dave's ability to go back in his memory bank and drag out factual details from previous interviews, weeks, months, even years ago. It is phenomenal to watch that happen because it adds so much context to our coverage in the moment. Dave's got it all right up here in his brain, and that's impressive.
This is a thing that Debbie does not do well. On-the-fly math.
I agree. So one thing I agree with him on.
Listen for Dave and Dejanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
We're just days away.
State lawmakers are already hard at work on a number of bills,
making decisions that affect you.
Utah's 2024 legislative session starts in January. Get updates on every bill with Tim and Amanda mornings and Jeff Kaplan afternoons. Eye on the Hill 2024
on KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time, 6:29. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with DinoPay. Andy Farnsworth, it looks busy out there.
Yeah, the crash that we have 900 West 21st South Freeway is causing some delays now. The tow trucks have arrived on scene, so this is slowing you down a little bit between Redwood and 900 West on SR 201. But out in the Magna portion, 201's just fine despite some foggy conditions. Coming out of Tooele, you've got some reduced speeds, SR 36, Stansbury Park and Lake Point. Mainline I-15, Bluffdale to Salt Lake, still at the full speed limit, though. Heather?
Haven't seen any slowdowns yet on southbound I-15. Typically, we'll see that around 200 North in Kaysville first thing in the morning. It hasn't happened yet, but traffic is definitely getting heavier in that area. You also still have good speeds on US 89 and I-84 if you need to go through the mountains. City streets are getting a bit congested, though, especially in Clearfield. Eric?
Along the 215 eastbound, heading north, no problems. Foothill Drive also looking good. If you're heading out to the mountains, I-80 through Parley's Canyon is in great shape. And down Utah County, I-15 northbound, southbound, not seeing any problems. A little bit of extra congestion now on State Street in Orem, approaching 800 North. Don't miss the amazing Utah Auto Expo, January 12th through 15th at the Mountain America Exposition Center. See the newest cars, trucks, electric vehicles, all in a non-selling environment. AutoExpoUtah.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Let's get a look now at that weather forecast for today. Today's high will be 43 degrees with some clouds, and then we have a chance of snow Thursday through Sunday. So some kind of a storm moves in and sticks around for a while, or maybe it's a couple of different fronts. We'll have to find out. We talked to Matt. So today's high in the 40s, then we stay in the 30s for the rest of the 7-day forecast, with the exception of Monday. After the storm leaves, 28 degrees for a high. Right now it's 25 downtown.
You're listening to Utah's Morning News with Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon
on KSL News Radio,
102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good morning, KSL News Time, 6:30.
KSL's top story this hour.
The founder of Qualtrics and the owner of the Utah Jazz, Ryan Smith, is spearheading a project to build a major hub in Provo for startups.
KSL News Radio's Michael Commit is live with more. Michael?
Amanda, it's called the River District, and Smith is funding the project himself. Now, this is more than just a tech hub. This whole project includes 198 residencies and over 300,000 square feet of office space for Provo's thriving entrepreneurial scene. This background, combined with a history of pioneering spirit, is what Smith hopes will lead to Provo becoming a ground zero for intellectual and tech development. Reporting live, Michael Commit, KSL News Radio.
Time now for KSL's top national stories this hour. The investigation continues in Tokyo after that deadly, fiery collision between a Coast Guard plane and a passenger jet.
Investigators say they have now found the black box on that Coast Guard plane. They say they're still working to find the data recorders for Flight 516. That, as the investigation now focuses on what the air traffic controllers told each of those pilots.
That's ABC's Matt Gutman reporting. In a statement, Japan Airlines says they had clearance to land and praised the crew for getting all the passengers to safety.
Just one day into the candidate filing window, and there are already 4 Republicans who say they plan to run to replace Senator Mitt Romney. They include the son of the late Senator Orrin Hatch, Brent Hatch, the mayor of Riverton, Trent Staggs, former House Speaker Brad Wilson, and Congressman John Curtis.
And that has started the dominoes falling here.
Yeah.
At least 4 people have expressed interest in replacing Congressman Curtis now that he's running for Senate. KSL.com reports Senator Mike Kennedy and the founder of Circus Tricks, Case Lawrence, have exploratory committees for a 3rd district run. Former state representative Chris Herod had told the Deseret News he'd be interested last month, and former Utah County Republican Party Chair Stuart Pay has announced that he plans to run.
If you're interested in running for office, the window to file is much shorter than it used to be.
If running for office was one of your New Year's resolutions, you have until the end of business day this coming Monday, January 8th. Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson says the new filing deadline applies to partisan candidates in federal, statewide, county, and local races. One exception is independent presidential candidates after Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sued, saying the date in early January violated the rights of voters. They'll have until March 5th. The date was moved up thanks to a change in Utah law from the second Friday in March to this Monday. Henderson says candidates can file in her office or their county clerk's office. Doors open at 8 a.m. Mark Jackson, KSL News Radio.
KSL weather with Matt Johnson. Today's our last quiet day until we see some action.
43 the high today, mostly cloudy skies. Now, an active pattern does set up with multiple storms trying to get into the west. However, none of them look terribly strong for the state of Utah. However, what's going to happen is we're going to see colder weather move in, more winter-like with snow chances, and yes, cleaner air.
Looks like it'll get progressively cooler over the next week. Tomorrow we'll have a high of 37.
UDOT says there isn't much left to do before they open the West Davis Highway this weekend. KSL News Radio's Adam Small is live with details. Adam?
Amanda, all that's left is some cosmetic work, landscaping, and final inspections. The road, the lines, the signs, the trail system, all ready to go. 6 months early at that. UDOT spokesperson Mitch Shaw says, if anything, you might see a lane closure here or there after opening for some of that off-road work.
It's the biggest highway project that UDOT will have completed in over 10 years.
Starting Saturday morning at 11:30, you'll officially be able to start driving on the highway throughout western Davis County between I-15 and Centerville, all the way to SR 193 in West Point. Reporting live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Time again for First Look Traffic. We go back over to Andy Farnsworth.
Delays on the 21st South Freeway right now between Redwood and 900 West because of a crash cleanup that's going on at the 900 West exit ramp. That's the only delay on the freeway so far. You're seeing some heavy traffic start to fill in on I-15 corridor, but nothing that you need to avoid. 201 freeway and I-80 out in Tooele where they split. It's still foggy in that stretch. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
The Utah Jazz are at home tonight to take on the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons are just 3-30 so far on the season. Tip-off tonight is at 7 o'clock.
The latest bracketology projections could mean basketball fans in Utah have a chance to watch two hometown teams in a first-round matchup in March here in Salt Lake City. KSL News Radio's Becky Bruce has the update for us live. Becky?
Tim, just twice in our state history have count them, four Utah Division I schools made the NCAA tournament, but this year could see a three-peat. The latest projection from ESPN bracketologist Joe Lunardi has BYU as a number 3 seed facing 14-seed Weber State in the first round, which, by the way, is going to be hosted at the Delta Center. He's also projecting Utah as a 7 seed playing in Indianapolis and Utah State making it into the first 4 game in Dayton as an 11 seed. Of course, all of this is hypothetical, and we still have a lot of basketball to play before March. Live, Becky Bruce, KSL News Radio.
Utah defensive end Jonah Ellis is the latest Ute to declare for the 2024 NFL Draft. He made the announcement on Instagram last night. KSL Sports reports Ellis has 18 starts in 35 career games for the Utes. He's the son, of course, of the Utah great Luther Ellis. I'm sad to see him go, but I understand.
Yeah, that one hurts for Ute fans, but I'll tell you, they have a lot of, I said on social media last night, Utes have a lot of horses in the stable that are just anxious to run the race, so we'll see. Students at a school in Kaysville helped come up with their own no phone policy, and the school says it's actually been a big hit. Here's KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera.
The idea was first brought to parents, then the community council. According to Centennial Junior High's principal, Mercy Ross Mango, students have responded positively to the no phone in the classroom policy, with incentives like ice cream parties for classes that have a clean record. A 3-strike rule is part of the policy. Students are still able to use their phones outside of the classroom, with teachers reporting students are more focused and less distracted.
Last year, a bill to ban cell phones at schools in Utah officially was shot down.
We have delays building eastbound on 201 from Redwood Road over to that crash at the 700 West exit. We'll check that and the rest of the commute just ahead.
Deb, you may not believe this, but I actually do like to eat healthy food. I feel better when I eat healthy, and I do feel full.
I want you to start off 2024 the right way. Log on to fedupkitchen.com, and you can order clean, macro-based, low-calorie meals. Not only that, they have treats and green drinks.
And they're prepared fresh in their Salt Lake City kitchen.
Order today, and they'll be ready for pickup or delivery tomorrow.
It's healthy eating made easy with Fed Up Kitchen.
You can save time, you can save money, and get results with their delicious meals. And like we said, they are made fresh daily.
And because it's the holidays, we want to make sure there's a little gift for you. You can save 20% on your first order. All you have to do is use the promo code KSL at fedupkitchen.com.
That's right. Go to fedupkitchen.com, put in promo code KSL, and you're going to get 20% off your first order.
Take the guesswork out of healthy eating. Go to fedupkitchen.com and use the promo code KSL.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's a mystery where Old Spice finds its amazing scents like Himalayan sea salt, but I'm thrilled they have because no other body wash exfoliates and moisturizes 24/7 like Old Spice Gentleman's Himalayan sea salt body wash. Now, if only there was a mountain range separating the Indian subcontinent from the Tibetan plateau where I could hide my Old Spice and keep my family from stealing it, my impossibly smooth skin will finally be safe.
6:39, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by Sinclair. Save up to 20 cents with DinoPay. Back to you, Andy.
Well, Amanda, right now the only delays on the freeway in the Salt Lake Valley, 21st South Freeway between Redwood and 900 West as they clean up a crash on the right shoulder. We've got some delay building on 201 around 7200 West, but that's because of a red light. Fog slowing you down a little bit more than usual, both Mid-Valley Highway and SR 36 as you go to merge on I-80 in Tooele County. Heather?
No delays on the freeways in Weber and Davis counties, but we do have a little bit of congestion trying to get onto I-15, especially at Hillfield Road in Layton. Also, if you are trying to get up in Ogden around 12th Street and 5600 South in Roy. Now, we do have a bit of congestion still trying to get into the west gate of Hill Air Force Base in Clearfield, as well as on Main Street between Clearfield and Layton. Eric?
Got a few extra cars in Utah County on Mountain View corridor as you head north from SR 73, and then it turns into 2100 North, and that's where you're going to see spots of brake tabbing. Doesn't last for long. Not at the moment, though. That could build into something more getting over to the freeway. I-15 looks solid in Utah County. It's a 20-minute drive from Provo up to the county line. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly cloudy today with a high of 43. Yes, still dealing with a little bit of haze. Overnight lows dipping off into the upper 20s. For tomorrow, cloudy with a chance for flurries. 37 the high. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now in Salt Lake City, 25 degrees.
Coming up in just a moment on KSL News Radio, we'll be learning more about how the shift is away from it being a job hunter's market and in the favor of the employer. It's more of an employer's market now. More just ahead on KSL News Radio.
Also just ahead, Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News. IRS harassing you? The law offices of Jordan Wilcox can help. Visit taxhelput.com.
Back in 2004, got a letter from the IRS indicating that I was no longer married and therefore they were to change my filing status to single.
We were really upset.
I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. Listen to what actual clients have had to say about working with us.
As soon as we met Jordan and he started talking to us, number one, he made us feel like we weren't the imbeciles that the IRS had made us feel like for so many years.
I'm Jordan Wilcox. Let's solve your IRS tax nightmare.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
Visit taxhelput.com or call 801-657-5951 to schedule your free consultation today.
We can move forward with confidence and assurance that we're okay.
That's taxhelput.com.
It's marvelous, just marvelous.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News is brought to you by the law offices of Jordan Wilcox.
We're going to play Guess the Sound. I don't want you to be alarmed or worried. I'm going to play audio of a scream right now. Now let me tell you, that is a scream of joy. But who is it? Can you tell? Is it a man or a woman? Here, I'll play it again. Now I'm going to tell you it's a famous person, and he is watching the incredible finish for Michigan's Rose Bowl victory from his living room. This final play.
Game on the line. It's Williams in motion. Low snap. Melrose stopped. Michigan makes a stand and comes up with a milestone playoff victory.
Let's go!
That is the unflappable, always emotionless, greatest quarterback in football history. The man men want to be and women want to be with. The GOAT. Sounding a little like a goat and a lot like a little girl, that is Tom Brady. You see, when it's your team and you scream like a nut, it's okay. But when you got no skin in the game and it's somebody else, you gotta laugh. Dude, act like you've been in the end zone before. Tom's alma mater, Michigan, faces Washington for the national title next Monday night, and the GOAT will be watching.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News,
so
only on KSL News Radio.
And I'm happy for Harbaugh, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Like it or not, there are more haters on Alabama than there are, fans, I think.
I always think about the kids.
But it's all based on their success through the
Right.
years. They've been so dominant. And anytime somebody like a Michigan can come up, and it's the Big Ten, and so there's all those fans, too.
Right.
Anyway, that's funny. Jeff's back this afternoon, of course, 3 o'clock. He'll be with you 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio. Our news time is 6:45. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
the Department of Justice is threatening to sue Texas over a new law that would allow state authorities to arrest and prosecute illegal immigrants. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, gas prices continue to drop nationwide. Here in Utah, we're averaging $2.83 a gallon. That's down a penny every day in the last week.
Third, it's traffic and weather together.
201 freeway still running slow between Redwood and 900 West because of crash cleanup on the right shoulder. Fog still affecting traffic, slowing it down in Tooele County, trying to get to I-80 and once you're on it to get into the Salt Lake Valley. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly cloudy today, but a series of small storms coming. I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now it's 25 downtown.
With KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The Department of Justice headed to the U.S. Supreme Court asking it to set aside a lower court ruling that prohibits Border Patrol agents from snipping the razor wire strung along the Texas-Mexico border.
The state of Texas argues that the concertina wire is meant to drive migrants toward legal Border Patrol checkpoints and away from illegal crossings between those checkpoints. The Biden administration says the razor wire is a hazard to asylum seekers and that Border Patrol agents should be allowed to cut it to save human lives.
That's ABC's Jim Ryan in Dallas. Talks continuing on a new border policy. Today, about 60 Republican lawmakers will visit the border at Eagle Pass, Texas, with new House Speaker Mike Johnson. Iranian officials say dozens of people were killed and more than 100 wounded in an attack targeting a ceremony being held for top General Qassem Soleimani, who was killed in a U.S. airstrike in 2020. Israel and